Hello, I'm Chris Gobber, and I wanted to do a vlog today, just talking about AI again. It's not really a subject I've touched on for a while. Wanted to do some more vlogs where I just improvise and think about what some of my current thoughts are on where everything's at with it, and just discuss that philosophically, what social impact I think it will have, and just talk about some of my thoughts related to AI. So again, as I have been for quite a while, I've been having got quite a lot of cognitive dissonance on the subject of AI. I am still experimenting with some of the tools. I am still trying to educate myself in some of the tools and the applications for current platforms of AI. But I do definitely remain somewhat of an AI skeptic. I don't think that it is I think there is a lot of hype around AI. I think some aspects of it do resemble a bubble of sorts. I've been keeping an eye on the discourse online, and it does seem that there is a lot of, I've been watching a lot of podcasts, educating myself on artificial intelligence, LLM systems, and of course there's also a lot of discussion around AGI as well. So I just wanted to tie some of these threads together of thought and just see if I can provide some interesting questions or analysis of the entire situation, I guess. So obviously the main area that AI has been disruptive in initially was the art world. There's still a lot of mixed feelings there, that I think generally speaking the trend with artists themselves is to view it as the negative overall, in terms of how it's affecting jobs for artists, especially digital artists. It's most impacted people who would have been making concept art, digital art, even graphic design, I guess, as well. And you can understand why people would be annoyed with such technology when it is taking away their livelihood. And I think it especially hurts probably for people who do concept art and digital art for games or things like this, because those jobs were probably rare instances of where someone's passion, like something they really enjoy producing, is getting replaced by an automated process, right? And it's being automated by capital. It's not the driving force behind automating that is for purely for profit motives, of course, and for it's easy to see why artists would feel like they've been taken advantage of, because the entire data set that's driven that progress has been their work. So it is, in many respects, you could argue, a capture of decades of labour with no return on that. Being a digital artist or concept artist is something that takes a long time. Even if you're talented at drawing, it takes a long time to get to the level where you can produce stylized or photorealistic concept art, right? That's a very difficult skill to develop. So you can understand why that's created animosity from people who worked in that industry. It does also seem to be having somewhat of a disruptive effect in the programming space. There is a lot of discussion, because I participate quite a lot in the dev space. There is quite a lot of growing animosity from developers towards AI, as well as there's a bit of a mix there, really. So I think a lot of developers realise that some of these things can be used as tools, like Copilot, or the recent thing that came up in programming culture was Devin, which seems to have turned out to have been just a bit of hype bubble, really, and a bit of a scam, really, to be honest. I've seen a few videos talking about how Devin isn't actually all it's cracked up to be. Devin, if you weren't aware, is basically an agent that does AI agent, which does the full workflow of a developer, and it's got a code editor. It can go look into documentation, and in theory could basically program, in the broader sense of the word, So instead of just, you give it a prompt like you would do to ChatGPT and it generates a block of code, it could do end-to-end software development. Now it seems that this is a bit of a overhyped. It was exaggerated, and most people have already gone over that. Gone past the point of worrying too much about that. I'm trying to keep on top of all this because, I'm a developer, and I have to keep on top of everything, of all the trends and everything that's going on in technology. My own personal feelings on it are, I just think probably that the CEOs of all these big tech companies are giving us the spiel about it being an emancipatory technology that's going to increase, but they tend to be just trying to sell it to both the corporations and the business world, but as well sell it to the workers as some sort of it's not going to replace you, it's just going to be a new job that a new tool that you can use in your arsenal, I should say, which will increase your efficiency. Everything seems to be focused on this word efficiency, which makes sense because we live in a hyper-capitalist, late capitalist economy, right? And efficiency is the name of the day, is the driving factor in that. Companies want to become more efficient. The reason being they want to maximize their profits, right? But obviously, if companies want to maximize profits, a big way that they can do that, and I think this is already starting to happen, is you just replace workers with artificial intelligence. Therefore, you don't have to pay a salary, you don't have to pay sick leave, you don't have to do anything else. You are just running a server with highly powered, or a cloud server usually, with these AI agents. Now, this is going to disrupt things so fundamentally, if it really is as powerful as the evangelists for AI seem to think it might be, that it's getting madder and madder. Like, I saw something NVIDIA demoed on Instagram, and it was, funnily enough, ironically enough in some respects, it was all about a algorithm or an AI tool that would basically make it so that in a video like this, the eye contact would be constant, right? So this is something I struggle with sometimes. Like, I have to consciously make an effort to look directly into the camera. It's not the natural way that I communicate to do that. Obviously, it feels quite unnatural because I am just essentially just talking to myself into the camera, like right now. So yeah, there's lots of innovations like that taking place. And then I also saw recently a horrific practice. Well, I think it's horrendous anyway. It just speaks to the worst of corporate culture and sort of that world. I saw on Theo, his developer's channel, which basically AI interviews. So you'd have a bot interviewing you for the first or second stage of an interview, right? And it's literally talking to an avatar on a screen, not even a human being, just a bot that has like an avatar picture, and then some basic animations, and then would ask the interviewee questions. Now this is terrible. Like, I don't even think I have to explain why this is terrible. And it's not even because you could potentially just be filtering out a bunch of decent applicants for a job just because of not fulfilling a box ticking exercise, basically. And it just seems so cynical, right? And I think this is just going to get worse and worse and worse as we go on. This is going to be a bizarre time when we're going to have all these attempts at efficiency and automation with AI tools, which will be replacing huge parts of the labour market. But then the problem is like, that's obviously going to increase the amount of unemployment. Most governments are highly stretched at the minute, like in the UK, for example, where the economy's in a recession. So welfare benefits will be, the Tories are already talking about slashing welfare benefits. They're even talking about forcing people with mental health conditions into work, essentially, and cutting lots of welfare benefits. So you can't cut huge swathes of the workforce, which creates more unemployment, and then you've got less positions to apply to, and then cut welfare benefits at the same time. How is that not going to create huge wells of resentment from the population, increase poverty, increase inequality, and that is a driver for creating revolution, like in the most extreme case. You're creating the conditions for I'm not saying it's like for some sort of communist or anarchist or revolution or anything like that, but I'm saying it does create this resentment. It'll drive inequality. It'll drive the gap between the richest and the poorest, which will therefore drive this resentful feeling towards the owners, of the big companies, the richest, and even you could say even for the rich who have all the assets and have all the money, and the tech utopians, I guess, and the big tech companies, it just creates such a resentment, I think, that it could create conditions for just, as I say, like more increasing inequality, which then increases social disorder, basically. Now, what's an alternative? Like, I've been watching a lot of podcasts talking about AI alignment as well, just to pivot on something else. So that's Conor Leahy's voice I've been following a lot more, who talks on this issue and just the general. He's sort of got a reputation as an AI doomer, but I wouldn't really, I'd say that's a bit unfair. He doesn't like that label himself, I don't think. But his whole idea is that we need to get AI into alignment so that if we do get to the point of developing AGI, which is a broad term but essentially means a AI that has the intellectual capacity of a human and plus more than a human being, really. They're smarter than the smartest human being in the world, which hasn't happened yet. There have been a lot of rumours that it has, but I don't think there's much stock to be put in those rumours, but it's been kept under wraps or whatever. But the other unfortunate trend I think we're going to see more of is huge misinformation campaigns, either run for political or social engineering purposes, I guess, by states or bad actors or whatever. I think there'll be a lot more of that. We will probably, in a worst case scenario, actually, just thinking aloud, I do think we might be arguably we are already in a cyber warfare paradigm in terms of you have states doing cyber warfare against each other. We just had I read it just this morning, not much into it, about jamming of GPS signals on aeroplanes or something. So there'll be a lot more of this. I mean, hacking's been around for a while, but it will intensify. The use of using compute and AI for cyber hacking and I think it probably will drive. I mean, again, if we have this huge, if we have like a loads more unemployed software engineers who are more resentful, who are increasingly getting pissed off and will feel lost in a society, then what that could be creating the conditions for, and I'm not saying it is, but it could do, in theory, it could drive cyber activism, right? So we could get, again, that could lead to an increase in cyber vigilantes, basically. I think that might be something that happens. Because just think about it logically. You've got a large part of the workforce that have been laid off for the tech layoffs. These people are not going to be happy about being laid off. They're going to be increasingly pissed off, and they know computers to a high level. They theoretically know about it. They know how to program. They know about vulnerabilities in software. They know about networking, yada yada yada. Now, I'm not saying that many people will go down this path, but it does obviously open up the what happens if you've got a bunch of pissed off people with no jobs, no future, who have been replaced by the very technology that they maybe helped create in some respect, right? Obviously, they're going to be pretty pissed off. So it could foster a whole wave of cyber vigilantes. So you can almost get like pirate crews forming, I imagine, who would be then undermining this new technological development of AI. Now, I'm not a complete doomer myself when it comes to AI. I think there are some good aspects to the technology being created, especially to do with science and categorizing things, and maybe doing scientific research, which could help aid medical innovation and all sorts of things like that. There are good upshots to it, but it's a technology. As with any technology, you've got good and bad results from that technology. But I do think this is an underappreciated aspect of the development of this technology, is just how much it creates the conditions for social disorder. And I don't think it's that underappreciated, because people are talking about it, like, people are coming up with ideas like, we're going to have a UBI. But then realistically, I'm just thinking, these are sort of utopian suggestions, because the actual way the economy is now, if you look at, I won't just use the UK as an example, but most countries, they've got the cost of living crisis. Most countries in Europe are experiencing something like this due to the war in between Russia and Ukraine, or the invasion, I should say, of Russia into Ukraine, and that's obviously driven up a lot of the cost of energy. So I don't know. I don't know where all this is going to go. Really, nobody does. Really, that's the scariest thing about it. I do think that cyber warfare will get worse, get more. There'll be more of it, and that it will become, I guess something that I think there will be, as soon as AI becomes more ubiquitous as well. I do think it won't be that long amount of time before, assuming we over rely on the technology too much, which it already seems to be going that way. I think we will have some sort of AI related disaster. Kind of Lay talks about this a bit. Some of the podcasts I've seen him speaking on. We will have some sort of AI related technical disaster within 5 or 10 years of that happening. Now, you can probably say that happens with any technology. You're going to have that. It's a case of managing that risk. But yeah, there's just a whole host of unanswered sort of what ifs. I don't believe in the corporate sector having any ethics. They preach ethics. It's the whole rainbow capitalism shit. But they don't really. They preach a lot of these values. But when it comes to actual putting those things into practice, they just lay off their workers. They just cut. They're the most profit-driven, cynical organisations in the world at present. They present one face. Oh, we care. We want to make people's lives easier. Just bullshit. Most of this technology isn't making people's lives easier. Try just logging into anything now. I understand why a lot of you have to put in 50 passwords to log into your email account or whatever. I understand for some respects why that exists, but it's annoying. And it's just the ease of use of technology is becoming more and more frustrating to use. Technology frustrates me constantly, to be honest. I'm just running on an old Dell laptop. Maybe I'm becoming a bit of in the same way that boomers became quite useless for technology. Maybe I'm becoming a millennial sort of doomer with technology. I'm just I've worked with technology and computers most of my life, and now a lot of the time I just want to go outside and touch grass more, because a lot of the shit just annoys me. It's go on then, go off to your little tech utopia, go off with your little fucking robots, you fuck, or whatever, you stupid fucking idiots. That's how I feel sometimes, quite honestly. I'm just where are we going? We've just diluted all that's human and then just replaced it with some fucking stupid bot with you know, sort of weemy face that is going to be doing job interviews now. Great. What a technical innovation that is. So yeah, I flip between having to realising that I have to learn some of this shit and just thinking it's the cringiest, most cynical corporate crap I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, I'll call this a funny philosophy. There's my new camera now, so it should be a bit better quality wise. Hopefully the sound's alright. I'll leave it at that. What do you think? Where do you think any of this AI, do you think it's a bubble? Do you think it's going to explode? It's going to crash? What are your general thoughts on the developments of it? What impact do you think it'll have on society, jobs? How far do you think automation will go? Do you think a lot of it's overhyped? Do you think it's a bubble? Yada yada yada. Leave the video there. Some of my thoughts from that one.